Hi everyone, I decided to put this video together to show people how to set up a Google Calendar. For anyone who missed the Google Calendar little class we had in Olds the other day, you can take a look at this video. I don't have a script, I am just sort of doing this on the spur of the moment, so it could end up being a big joke. Hopefully you'll get some information out of it that you need to get yourself set up if you don't already have a Google Calendar up and running. So the first thing we need to do is figure out how to get to Google Calendar. That's easy. You can either search it in Google, just type in Google Calendar and it will show you right at the top how to get there. The other way, of course, is www.google.com/calendar. Google.ca will not work for the calendar. It has to be google.com/calendar, and that will take you there. And you'll get a screen that's probably similar to this. Now, as you can see up in the top right, we have got sign up for a new Google account. Now, you may or may not have a Google account already. There's a couple things to consider when signing up for a new Google account or using your own personal account, and that is whether or not you want to use a personal account or a business account. I chose to use a separate business account that I created for Google, and it's didsburyces@gmail.com. That way, should there ever be another coordinator or somebody else who needs access to that, we can give that account over to someone else. Whereas if I was using my personal Google account, which I also have, then that would become a problem because I own the Didsbury CES calendar on my personal account, and it's not easy to transfer. It may not even be possible to transfer to someone else. So that's something you might want to consider. I would suggest using a separate Google account. You can always share your Google CES calendar will be a public calendar, so you can always bring it into your personal account and your personal calendars to see what it is and make changes and so on. So that would be my recommendation. That being said, that's up to you. If you would prefer to have a calendar for the CES in your own personal account, you can do it that way then. Either way, you need to sign up for a Google account, and once you've done that, you can sign into Google Calendar using your email and the password, and you sign in. And this will take you to the Google Calendar. Now, what we've got here is my CES calendar. And the first thing that I will do is sort of show you some of the various parts of the main screen. That will get you hopefully familiar with what exactly you are looking at. Now, up in the top left, you can quickly create an event on the calendar. This is not the easy way to do it. I will show you the easy way to do it in a second or two. Then there's the small calendar here, and you can see in bold are the dates where we actually have some type of event happening. So just a quick at a glance monthly view. Now over here on the main screen I've also got a monthly view. That's my preferred view, and so it's sort of redundant to the small one, except that it gives you more detail. However, up in the top right here we've got day, week, month, 4 days, and agenda. These are different views of the exact same thing. So week view, there's my month view that I prefer. Here's what's happening in the 4 days. Not much, as it turns out. Yay! Agenda view, what's coming up. So if you're on agenda view or week view or day view or whatever besides month, this little monthly calendar up in the top left is a little bit handier. But as I said, I prefer the month. Now you can print your calendar from right up here as well, if that's something that you want to do. I have never done it. I don't know why I would want to do it, but that need may arise, so that's how you would do it. Up here we have got arrows to go to the next time period. So on a monthly calendar it would be the next month. So we can go into January, we can go backwards, and we can go into November, or we can go right back to December. And you can see that the box is highlighted for the day that it happens to be. So today is Friday the 2nd of December 2011 when I am recording this video. Then below this little calendar in the top left we have got my calendars. My calendars are calendars that I've created myself, or calendars that I have full administrative rights on. So someone else could have created it and said, we're going to allow Lyle, or in this case the Didsbury CES account, to have full access to delete and edit and create events on that calendar. And then there's also a tasks calendar for tasks and things like that, something I haven't used a lot of. The reason I haven't used tasks is because tasks do not show up at this point on your smartphone Google Calendar. Google Calendar is also, if you've got an Android, you're in luck, because your Google account on your Android will work with your Google Calendar online. They're both integrated instantly and automatically. If you have an iPhone, you can also do that. It'll just probably take a couple more steps to set that up. But when you change something on your smartphone calendar, it will change on your Google Calendar, which is really handy. I've had people that I've met away from the office who want to book the CES room. I can look at my calendar on my smartphone, say, yes, it's open, book them right there on my phone, and within seconds, it is changed on my Google Calendar everywhere, including the Google Calendar that's embedded in my website. And that's something that you'll want to do too once you've got a website, is embed your Google Calendar in there. The Google Calendar that you have for your CES should be the public functions that you want everyone to see. It shouldn't be your own personal functions. You can create another calendar for those functions. And when I say create another calendar, I should be specific. You don't need to create another account. On every account, you can have multiple calendars. So on my account for Didsbury, I've got the Didsbury CES room calendar. I've got the CES Central Alberta calendar, which Leslie created for all of us to sort of put our events in so we can all see what each other is doing. I've got the tasks calendar, and then under here we've got other calendars. These are calendars that I have not created, that are not my calendars, and I do not have full administrative rights to. These are other people's calendars that they have invited me to look at, or that are public calendars that I can look at without having to be invited. Canadian holidays is one of them. You know, so right there, Christmas Day, Boxing Day. I prefer to have that just because I am working weird hours, as we all are with CES, some evenings, some weekends. So it's good to remember when the holidays actually are. Now here I've got Penhold, Hemday Learning, Jan Outlook Schedule, which is Cremona, Nora. So there's a few other calendars I've got here. Now, the next thing I should probably go over is on these calendars, you'll notice that some of them are highlighted. And another thing I should mention is I'm using the old view of Google Calendar, so your screen isn't going to look exactly identical. For example, for my Didsbury CES room schedule here, mine is highlighted in green when it is active. On the new Google Calendar, there is just a green box beside it, and that green box will be green when it's active, and it will be white when it's inactive. So when I say active and inactive, all it means is it showing up on this calendar on the main screen? So if I click on it, suddenly all the events here in the main screen disappear, and you'll notice also that the Didsbury CES room calendar has a white background, which means it's inactive. Everything is still there, it's just that I can't see it right now. I've chosen not to see it. That's very handy if you have a hugely complex calendar with a whole bunch of stuff and you only want to see certain things. For the most part, all I ever want to see is what's the Canadian holidays and the Didsbury CES room. Now, if I wanted to take a look at what's happening in Cremona, I could click on the Jan schedule, and those will pop up in that color font. Now, it still looks a little confusing, so I can remove the Didsbury CES and the Canadian holidays, so all I'm seeing is what Jan has. And that becomes easier. Then I can remove that, and I can put it back up the way I like it. So you can use any combination of what you see at any time on there. And when you get into week views and things like that, it can get pretty complex like that. So you may want to just remove what you don't want. So the next thing that we should talk about is the actual calendars and how we create a calendar. When you start up with Google Calendar, you will have a calendar automatically. You need at least one calendar, otherwise there's really no point to have Google Calendar. So under My Calendars, you will have something, probably the name of, it might say Didsbury CES because that's my account name, or I don't know what it will say for yours. It might just say My Calendar, but you'll want to change the name of that likely. So beside every calendar is a small drop-down arrow on the right-hand side, and you can click that, and there's some options. Display only this calendar if you want to deactivate all the rest, as I was just showing. Calendar settings, sharing the calendar, notifications, etc. If we go to calendar settings, right here is where you decide what you want to call that calendar. That can be changed at any time. And then if you wanted to put in a description and a location, you can do that. I chose not to. Then as well, there's some information on embedding the calendar. That's to put it into a website, as well as the link for this calendar. Should you want to send a link or create a link on a website, then you can go to calendar address, click on HTML, and there's the link that would be embedded into a website, so that when you click on a hyperlink, it would take you directly to the calendar. Now that's different than embedding the calendar in the website. If you do it with a link like this, it will take the person to another window or the same window, but it will take them to Google Calendar itself. If you embed it in the website, then when people go to your website, the Google Calendar is sitting right there on your website page. That's probably preferable. Then you aren't driving people away from your website, you're keeping them at your website, which is important. So there's where you change the name. Now, the next thing we want to look at is, once you've got your calendar set up, you'll want to add events. So let's suppose that next week on Wednesday, I want to add an event at 9:30 in the morning, and it's going to be a course on how to be a rodeo clown. So we click on that space, and it pops up right away. Wednesday, December 7th. What is it? Well, at 9:30 a.m. is a class on rodeo clowning. I'm sure that's not the terminology. Here it's going to say calendar, Didsbury CES room schedule. That is where I want to put that. Now, if I wanted to put it in the other one that I've got access to, this is where I would change it. But I do want to put it on the public Didsbury CES room schedule. So then I can create the event. And it shows up at 9:30. And it's right there. Oh, and I spelled clowning wrong. So because I spelled clowning wrong, I go click on the actual event, click Edit Event. Here's where we can edit not only the title and spell it correctly, but we can add other things. Now, if this is a class that's going to happen every Wednesday, I can click on Repeat. And it repeats weekly or bi-weekly or yearly or monthly, daily, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever you want. Repeats every 1 week, on what day of the week, when does it start, does it end, when does it end, etc. So you can make them repeat, and it will fill the calendar in. Now when you delete one of those events, if it should ever be canceled, it will ask you, do you want to delete just that one or all of the rodeo clown classes? So you can have that flexibility as well. So also you can click on all day, and that will remove the 9:30 to 10:30 time in here. Now it put 10:30 arbitrarily. It said, okay, well, let's make it 1 hour because he didn't tell us how long it is. I could have typed in 9:30 to 10:30 and then done it that way. Or we can come into edit here, and maybe it's a 2-hour class. It's the first class, and there's a lot of stuff to go through, you know, attire and all that kind of thing for a, oh, I shouldn't be saying that wearing this shirt. Oh man. Anyways, so here's where. So this is where I usually add Didsbury CES. You know, I just realized this is actually going up on my public calendar. I wonder if people are going to be calling in wanting to get in on this class. Huh. We'll see. Anyway, where I would put Didsbury CES Room A. Description, I would talk about exactly what it is. And the description pops up when people look at the calendar, the public calendar, and then they click on that. That's where the where and the description pop up. Adding guests and things like that, I don't use that. You can have what color you want the event to be, which is also something that I should show on the start. So anyway, we click Save, and we go back, and there it is, class on rodeo clowning. Now what I'm going to do really quickly here is delete that, so that nobody thinks we've actually got a class on rodeo clowning. It'll be interesting to see if anybody had actually seen that. It'd be quite funny, actually. Okay, so now we also notice here when we click the down arrow beside each calendar, there is a color palette. And that's where you can choose what color you want each of the calendars to be. You can choose it for whatever reason you like. Green is the Didsbury CES in lime green because I've sort of decorated everything, and that's sort of the color for the Didsbury CES is that lime green. And you probably know I wear lime green a lot. There was a Saskatchewan Rough Rider calendar I subscribed to, and it was Rider green. I chose, pink for my daughters on my personal calendar and light blue for my sons, just to help keep sort of organized by color, and makes it easier that way too. You'll also notice that certain things that are all day long are really bright. They have a colored background with white font, whereas items that are in a calendar that are set for a specific time are in the font color of that. I don't personally like that. I wish that it was the other way around so that it's easier to see, because a dark green and a light green font beside each other, you can barely tell the difference. Even with green and blue, it's hard to tell the difference. So maybe they'll change that. I know a lot of people want it changed when I was looking at how to do it, and it is just not able to do it. So there you go. That's sort of the basics of getting up and running. And once you get that far, it's pretty easy, and you can sort of play around and figure things out. You can search your calendar right up here at the top. And the other thing is, in order to make the calendar public, you need to go into the calendar settings. No, I'm sorry. You need to go to share this calendar, I believe. And right up here at the top, make this calendar public and check it. Now that doesn't make all the rest of your calendars public, just this calendar. So you don't have to worry that people are going to be seeing that you're picking up the kids at 8:30, as long as you don't inadvertently put that on your public calendar for the CES. And sometimes that's why it's easier to have two separate accounts. You log into your business CES account to do the CES stuff. Now also another way to do that, if I decided not to make it public, I could uncheck that, and I could go down here and I could put the names of the email addresses of people's accounts and say they can have access to this calendar too. Over here we say what kind of access. Can they just look at it? Can they look at it and edit events? Can they edit events and delete events, etc.? So you can add that. And the reason these ones are even here on this calendar is before I made the calendar public, I had sent them out to these people. Now if I wanted, I could remove all of them and they should still have access because it's a public calendar. I haven't done that because it really just doesn't matter to me, and I don't want to cause any situations if it does happen to remove them and they have to resubscribe. That could be a bit of a pain, so I've just left it like that. But right here is where you make that calendar public. What else do we need to know? The CES Central Alberta at gmail.com is the central repository for all of our courses and our classes and our public things that are going on. So when we create a calendar, or when we create an event on our CES calendar, we can copy that over to the CES Central Alberta at gmail.com. That way, all the coordinators and everyone involved with that calendar will be able to see not just the Didsbury functions, but the Olds functions and the Cremona functions and so on. Everyone's will be there. That way we know who is running what. Now, in order to copy an event, and I'm not even sure on this because I've only done it once, so you want to buy an ebook reader. So I click on that, and I don't know if it's on Edit Event. How do I share it? It's got to be here somewhere. Edit events. More actions. Copy to CES Central Alberta at gmail.com. Now, other options may be there depending on how many of your calendars you have in My Calendars. So any calendars where you're allowed to add events to will pop up there. So now if I click on that, copy to CES Central Alberta, I can do that now. Click on Save. Now I'm going to go over here and highlight that one. So in blue, everything that's happening at CES Central Alberta at gmail.com, will pop on, and there it is. So it's in green because I've got it set up for happening here in the Didsbury CES room. It's also in blue so that all the coordinators can go to the main calendar and see it. If I decide that that is being canceled because no one is showing up, I do need to delete that from both calendars. If I delete it from my own CES calendar, it will not automatically delete it from the Central Alberta calendar. So I have to delete it in both places. So that's how you copy things over so that everyone knows what's going on. Now, we had also discussed, and I don't know if the exact procedure has happened yet, but we will figure it out. If somebody else wants to know if it's a video conference, they can contact me and see. If I decide to make it a video conference, then in the description, in the where, we can add, so it could say Didsbury CES host, comma, video conference to, and then whoever else wants to be carrying that event. So that's one way we can look at doing that, so that people can go on and go, oh, well, I don't have to go to Olds because it's being offered right there in Didsbury. Or if somebody should call you as a coordinator and say, are you offering blah, 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 because I was going to go to Calgary for it, you can look and say, no, I'm not offering it, but we do have it in Carstairs, so you can head that way. So hopefully this will all gel over some time, and this will become a really cool way for us to all know what's going on and have that kind of connection and information happening. I'm trying to think of what else I need to go over here, but I think that for the most part has everything set up. This is a long video, longer than I intended, but that's that. So if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm not going to flash this on the screen because it's on YouTube and I'm not sure exactly how the privacy settings work, so I don't want everybody calling me, but you know me, and if you don't, then I hope you enjoyed my video. We'll talk to you soon.